Moving on to the next task, domain 2, task 16, ensure knowledge transfer for project continuity. So again, this is partly linked to the mentoring task because the knowledge transfer comes here. So we have to make sure there is a lessons learned register. So what is this lessons learned register? This is an experience collected in the form of an artifact from the previous projects. So the organization might have experience in doing similar projects in the past. So even if it doesn't have, the lessons learned register is a live document which is maintained throughout the project. When you are in the initiating phase, you faced some difficulty and you solved a problem in one way, and you can record it. So a person has found a solution to a problem which was long pending, which the team feels is a repetitive problem. You record it. So all these problem solution, all these things are recorded, and not just problems and solutions, but also some suggestions or improvement points which will help the project directly. All these things come under the lessons learned. So that is a very, very important document in this task. We have to understand how these lessons learned are managed, right? So there are some methods defined by the project management. We have to define also the frequency of understanding or giving this knowledge transfers, not just via the lessons learned register, but also as a live sessions, knowledge sharing sessions. They all have to be conducted and managed project manager. In this activity, the project manager is expected to define the flow of the knowledge transfer from top to bottom or bottom to top. We have to also explain the flow. When I said top to bottom or bottom to top, it could be design to production or production to design, or it could be from proto-quality to project team or project team to proto-quality, right? So many examples can be given. So we have to manage and control this knowledge transfer and also the lessons learned register from the previous projects, right? So in the task for the exam, what we are expected to do is that we have to discuss the project responsibilities within the team. We have to outline the expectations for working environment, and we have to confirm the approach for knowledge transfer. So again, here I have listed some bullet points for you to easily prepare in this task, and then some example questions are listed here. Moving on to the next task, domain 2, task 17, plan and manage project or phase closure or transitions. So what we have to focus here is that closing can happen at the phase stage or at the final project stage. At the phase gates, closing can happen, or transition can happen from one phase to another phase. So again, this is also directly linked to the complete closing phase in the PMP Guide 6th edition. We have to focus on learning all the processes that are involved in the closing phase. It's very important. We have to make sure all the documentation is done. We have to be extra careful if the project is, again, a government or a regulation bound. Some additional closing activities are there that, we have to get the certification from the government authority. All these things are there. So we have to ensure all the closure documents are gathered. So in the exam, what we are expected to do is we have to determine the criteria to successfully close the project or phase. We have to validate the readiness for the transition, and we have to conclude the activities to close out the project or phase, right? So we will learn all this in the classes to come. So just take the feel of it. Don't worry too much about, okay, I don't know this, I don't know that. So don't worry, we will learn about this all together. So if you already have the PMP Guide 6th edition and the 7th edition, they are easily available in the online websites. You can purchase them. So just make sure you go through all these bullet points from those guides. And here we have some example questions. Again, I keep repeating, these are not to be considered as absolute questions, just an example to set your mindset. Just go through them before we move to the last domain. Moving on, domain 3, business environment. The first task here, domain 3, task 1, plan and manage the project compliance. So every company or every field or of the organization has some or other compliance, right? So I hope we all agree here that an IT industry is bound by some rules and regulations. Similarly, a manufacturing industry, a construction, a chemical industry, or maybe consider the example of medical industry. Every industry has its own set of government regulations and rules to follow. So, and they are different from one another. The rules that are applicable for medical might not be applicable for the construction company. So, we as a project manager should be really aware of what these compliance rules are in that particular field. And if we look at the task according to the PMI, we can see that there are 7 enablers here. Also, as I said, it's the biggest task of all 4, and majority of the questions will arise from here. So what we have to do here is we have to confirm the project compliance requirements. We have to classify these categories, in which category the compliance is coming. We have to determine the potential threats to the compliance. We have to use different methods to support this compliance. We have to analyze the consequences of, if we don't comply for this, what will happen. And we have to determine the necessary approach and actions to address the compliance needs. And we have to finally measure the extent to which the project is in compliance. Again, you have some few hints here to learn this task, and then please expect the questions to be something like this. Moving on, domain 3, task 2, the most interesting of all, because this is the result, this is the end benefit that we all work for. Of course, they are not directly given to us, they are given to the organization, and then the organization gives it back to the stakeholders, right? So if the organization succeeds, we all succeed. So what happens here is that we as a project manager, we have to assess what benefits that we are going to get at the start of the project. And then at the end of the project, we have to verify whether our planned benefits have actually been achieved or not. Right? Similarly, the value. At the start of the project, what value we promised to the customer. And then at the end of the project, we have to verify whether that value is actually given to the customer or not. Both these responsibilities are with us. So when I say us as a project manager, so planned versus actual, right? For the benefits and also for the values.